think it works.
I hope so.
It's just got the exact... It wobbles so much. We might be live as it is now. Hi everyone, if we are live. We'll never get rid of that fumbly bit. Oh, it says Patreon launch, but let's get rid of that. Is that how long it's been? It's definitely since last year. So we've got a video link. Yep, we are definitely live. We're into this. It's definitely questioning are we live section. I'm going to post on Twitter and then we are officially live. There we go. Hi everyone. How's your lockdown Saturday? I don't know how we get into the old bit where you see all of the chat and everything scrolling past. It was great. Live dashboard, there we go. YouTube's changed all of its backdoor shenanigans since we last did it. This is the page we're after. So Rach, what have you been up to? You're drawing The Rock.
I was drawing The Rock.
You did quite a good The Rock.
I gave it a good go.
Not Dwayne Johnson, drew The Rock. So, it's been ages and ages since we've done one of these. Got a couple of questions behind the scenes. What board game news have you brought to the table today, Rach?
None.
You got no board game news for everyone? What about the upcoming excitements that people can look forward to? What about Mini Golf Designer? That's coming up next week, I believe. Yes, that's coming up on Tuesday. Mini Golf Designer.
It's good fun.
That's about as much as you get from Rach. And then the week after that, there is Prisma Arena from Hub Games, where I've got to customise all our characters and then have a bit of a fight. And then there is... Oh, what's the one I'm forgetting? I shouldn't have piled all this stuff. Oh, Forest Guardian's another one from Shepherd Kit, who do all the Numeracy Legends games, the kids games basically. They're progressing through all the ages of kids to teach them board games and kind of environmental awareness. So Forest Guardians is the next one to that. And there might be some kind of detective-y game coming up. Congratulations, Frosthaven as well. God, $13 million. It's crazy. Hi, Paul. Paul's here.
Hi, Paul.
So, should we go into David Digby?
Before more people come here, I don't know. When is the best time?
Everyone
to
can
do the
rewind back
question?
to the beginning of it. I don't know when the best time to do all this stuff is. This is when we have the fluff of what's coming up soon, what's just happened. What most recent video on the channel is the game starring you. You back in a video again, Rach?
Thrilling.
First time in a long time.
Thrilling.
You love the game. You just don't like being in videos.
It's alright.
And Quinto, you got a different scale.
That hasn't come out yet, though, has it?
No, that should probably come out once we've finished streaming this. And then Cooper Island is on its way as well. Very soon. And then those Kickstarters
But that
that I
doesn't
mentioned.
have me in it.
No, could only get you for a very brief period when you were working from home. But you're working at home again next week, aren't you?
Yes,
So we'll have to do
from home.
We'll do Forge War. Actually, the last vote was for solo games, and I forgot to put Forge War in. But I'm a little bit relieved as well, because if it won, I'm very intimidated by the... I don't know how many hours that would take to do a full... Because if you do a playthrough, you got to do the full Loads of Eras version, haven't you? I tried to do it once just before Gloomhaven arrived, when I was in anticipation fever for it. I thought I'll do a playthrough for Forge War, and I think I did about an hour and a half of it and then lost. And I thought, if I'm going to do a video for it, I want to go all the way through it. But looking back now, I've never had the time to do it since. I should have just kept that hour and a half I had before I lost. Because the solo version of Forge War is very much, you make a mistake, you lose. Where are we going here? Oh, we have live questions. I should stay in this tab now rather than flicking between them. Which do you like better, newer or older Uwe Heavy games? Well, H, I don't think not to answer for you. I don't know if you liked any of his older games. Oh, the Lo Yang.
Not always older. Yeah, I was gonna say I like Lo Yang.
You like the more maybe unusual ones. You don't really like the popular ones, do you? You're not a fan of Agricola or Caverna or Aura and Labora. But you really liked Lo Yang and Makata.
Yeah, I like Makata.
You like Makata. Quick look behind me now. Glass Road. You like Glass Road?
Yeah.
Maybe not so much of a big fan of that. Let's say maybe where does the dividing happen? Maybe Glass Road is where it starts to divide into new Uwe. Because he used to be very. I think like the distinction is the old Rosenberg games like Agricola, more punishing, more tight. You know, if you fail to feed your people in Agricola, you're on a really downward spiral, and the main setup of the game is like minus points for everything. Your just default is starting off with a load of minus points, and then I guess Feast for Odin's kind of like that. It's not as tight though, because you've got, rather than like fewer action spaces, you've got hundreds of action spaces, and
yeah,
you've probably got the chance to do what you want. I think when we played the expansion, I did it for the playthrough of the expansion, but I think when we played the short game version as well, which isn't much shorter, it's just one round shorter, but it gives you less chance. You've got one less harvest to feed your people, so it's a little bit more old style. I don't know, I do like the old fashioned style a little bit more, I think. I'm not really against the new style, because I've liked a lot of them. What has there been? Feast for Odin, Nusfjord. You liked Nusfjord, didn't you?
With the fishies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of Glass Roady in its ways. What am I not thinking of in newer ones? Is Agricola Revised Edition new? Uwe Rosenberg. I think we've only got those couple up there, haven't we? Aura and Labora has just come out again, so we could get a chance to properly play at range. Do you remember Aura and Labora?
Not really, I don't remember.
My version is from when you absolutely couldn't get it, and so mine is I think mine's a French version, and it's kind of. It's half pasted up. I think you could play with an Irish side and a French side, couldn't you? And so like I'd made paste ups back when I had the inclination to do paste ups for games. I'd done one of the games. I think the Irish game is the only one we've played of it. But that was mostly solo. I think you're more of a fan of the newer style anyway. You don't like so much the pressure to feed your people and stuff,
I don't
do you?
want to feed anyone.
No, you don't like feeding people in games, and really you're not that keen on worker placement in general.
No, not really.
Because if you make a plan, like I like if you make a plan and it gets messed up by other people going there, whether they've done it on purpose or not. I do like the thinking of a plan B and thinking of a way around it all. You're not so much a fan of that, are you? You like to stick to the first plan that you've gotten in it. And if that gets messed up, not really bothered about carrying on with it.
Just can't think of another plan.
I like the Cave versus Cave
Put all my eggs in one basket.
Cave versus Cave I enjoyed. Caverna Cave versus Cave, the 2-player only one. I like that more than Caverna. Because I think, Caverna would fit into the newer category, wouldn't it? Because rather than Agricola with its kind of tight, like you've got all of these cards, but that's all you're getting, and so find a way for it to all work together. Caverna was just like, here is every room in the game from the start of it. Decide what you want to go for. I am just searching now. Sorry if I'm making all of this shake about. I'm searching out. There's the Tetrisy games, isn't there? Like Patchwork, massive fan of. The Cottage Garden, Indian Summer, weren't very much fans of. Oh, Reykholt was good, but Reykholt always kind of, in the end, it was kind of the bits I really enjoyed of Reykholt were the bits that reminded me of Lo Yang the most. I always thought I'd rather keep playing Lo Yang. Hengist, we haven't played for quite a while. I'd say when it came, we played Hengist and then never again. Do you remember it? There's like Vikings on boats and there was kind of windy little paths hidden behind boards. It was a very, very random, strange not great Uwe Rosenberg game. But I would say the old ones. I like restrictions and being punished a bit more. But I don't really mind the more open ones either. Agricola, all creatures great and small. I suppose that's not that different than just mentioning Agricola. But I like the 2-player version of that as well. Eventually, Rach, how many hundreds of times do you think it would take for you to start enjoying Agricola?
Never. Never.
Did you win at Cooper Island? How many points? Well, I haven't played the solo version of it. Is there a win-loss condition of Cooper Island in solo? We played it 2 players. I don't think we scored very highly, but I'm not sure what like the big range of scores would be, because I think we scored maybe 20s in our game, something like that. Our final score was in the 20s, I think, which doesn't seem very high, but I think a good score's like 30s, 40s, something like that. So maybe we came out as naturals.
I thought you got more than that.
But I think that's one where like it. I think it wants you to really love it and play it a lot, and then you will get more used to how these things connect together. Because I like how much of a challenge it is building up your island effectively and getting all of these tiles in the right place, and trying to chain all of these combos, with your abilities from your crates and the stuff you've got locked in your marketplace, your anytime actions, your cartographer actions. You can combo all of this into a really nice chain of stuff. But it seemed a bit less apparent that you were doing it effectively in Cooper Island. I'd say I don't know why that is, and if that's maybe it just needs more plays than other games to kind of get a grip on it. But maybe that would. I'd say that's probably the way with like the Gallerist or something. When I played that for the first time, you're probably a bit lost with spending all of your anytime actions, your executive actions, than you would have been originally. Shall we go on to hi everyone that's arrived since we do a proper intro to this? Welcome to the Q&A.
Hi.
We've been out of practice for this for quite a while, nearly a year. Not quite, about 11 months I think, but we're back into the swing of it now. I said, well, we've only done one, but yeah, we're all connecting up. We've got the dashboard ready. We're going to get into this. Maybe if webcams become more widely available again, maybe we could even do some kind of live game. But at the moment, we have this. We have the webcam that is attached to the laptop that it's streaming from. So unless somebody's got some kind of great bracket where it holds the whole laptop over the table, we're not really going to be doing games. And I don't know if I'd trust that kind of bracket. I'm scared to have my phone going over the table in case that smashes. But yes, let's do a question from David Digby, who left one in the guild.
Hello.
Hi, David. Best 2-player or solo games with an AI that have satisfying auctions. Now, I only thought, when I saw him ask it on Facebook, I can only really think of Peloponnese.
That was the one I thought of. We don't really play auction games.
No. Well, they're usually not very good with 2 players.
No.
And I think in general, we're not so... We didn't really enjoy them that much when we used to go to a game group and they'd come out. I liked Raw. I don't know if that would work with 2. I can't remember now. But I remember really enjoying Raw. But yeah, Peloponnese, we've played it at about 7 players as well, I think, at that game group. And we've played it a lot more with 2 players, and I think it works just as well at any of the player counts, because like instead of it just being a normal auction and you bid something and then someone bids one more, your bid is kind of set in stone. So if you bid 4 for a tile, that's your bid. And if someone outbids you, you take your bid back and you put it on a different tile. If you can, there's minimum prices on the tiles, and take into account how much money do the other people have, how likely are they to want the tile I'm bidding for, because if you just put the minimum on something, you're most likely going to get booted off for it. And then there's a section to the side of the auction where you don't really have to take part in the auction if you don't want to. I can't remember the name for the section, but you can just buy those tiles outright. They're a lot more expensive, but you don't have to participate in the auction at all. You can just buy them. But yeah, I thought that was really effective. I liked Stockpile though. Trip Stockpile, where it's a kind of stocks game as well, that you're buying stocks in all of these companies and their price fluctuates, and it's got all of that part to it. But one of the main bits is an auction, And that was done through steps. So, like, each company's auction, like, you'd bid for these stacks of stocks of cards. And so it was, rather than just you naming a price and outbidding each other and stuff, there were increments that started out quite small and then got bigger and bigger. And if you bid the highest increment, nobody could outbid you there. So you'd have to end up spending loads for it. But you were, like, pretty far along in there. And I think that, like I say, it's not really that different from just a standard auction thing, but I liked how it worked at 2 players still. Yeah, but I'd say Peloponnese. I can't really think if we've got anything that occurs that we've really got in an auction. Oh, so somebody else mentioned in the Facebook comments, didn't they? Biblios. I really like Biblios, and that's kind of the first half of Biblios is you're basically librarians, ancient librarians collecting books, and the first half of the game is like a draft. So when it's you draw cards from the deck one at a time, and you need to put that card in front of a player that hasn't got a card yet, or into the auction stack. So you'll draw like one more card than the number of players, and you're going to get a card as well. And you're trying to get a card for yourself that fits in with the sets you're collecting, and hopefully not give people great cards, because whoever has the most of a set at the end of the game will earn a certain amount of points based on how much that set's worth. So we go through the whole deck until we've done all of that, so everyone's got the same number of cards, and then everything else is in this auction stack. And so now the game's different because we've got these books in our hands, we've got some special ability cards, but we've also got money cards in our hands. And so now one by one we flip cards from the auction stack, and everybody uses that money to bid on cards that come out of that. And by then you've got a much better idea of what it is you want to collect, and maybe through giving out the cards throughout the game you've got some kind of idea what other people were collecting, because you might have given somebody like a really high value red card like a couple of times, and you think maybe they're collecting red now, so I want to outbid them on that. But that works really well as well. But I don't think they particularly do anything to... They don't change in particular for 2 players.
No.
Like, Biblos doesn't change. The number of cards changes that's in the deck, and Peloponnese, there are fewer tiles up for auction. Like, they're the same number of tiles you see every round, but there are fewer for auction and more just for buying that are a lot more expensive. But yeah, I think they're the best kind of auction-y games. But we're not really the best people to ask, because, yeah, as 2 players, we've kind of... It's like area control, really. Just not as good as 2 players, so unless it's something really special, tend to just not really go for it. Burn, hi.
Hi.
Asks for, is there any game that Rachel loves and you dislike to play? Plenty.
Like what?
I don't think there's really been one
Dark
for a long time. Well, Dark Souls, we played Dark Souls the card game, and I don't really think that I played it. Well, we played it 4 players, and yeah.
Only 2 of us.
only 2 people seem to play, and then the 3rd and 4th players basically didn't get to do anything, and we just kind of watched. We were in the way of other people playing it, but I don't think it's like there's still we disagree on games, but I don't think there's as much that we disagreed on things a lot more kind of earlier on. I think there's Takenoko. I used to really dislike Takenoko, and you've never had a problem with it, have you?
Because it's got pandas.
Yeah, I got annoyed with how random it seemed. But and what else was there? Maybe the most recent one, which is still a few years ago now. Was it called A La Carte? That I thought was going to be maybe it's a dafter dexterity game, but I can't remember why that. We still got it. We should play it again, but I remember really being annoyed by it for some reason. Maybe it was just that I was rubbish at it. Yeah. But there's like we've got to do a top 10 on things that we disagree on. I think in general, there's a lot of things that I really like that you're not keen on or dislike.
You always have to remind me, like you have to. I have very poor memory. I don't remember a lot of what we play. Yeah, so you have to remind me all the time.
Yeah, and there's and when we, especially now that pretty much everything that we play is for the channel, you're not into looking up new board games and finding out what's coming out and stuff. You're happy to just get things put in front of you and hope that you like them. So there's not really a case of like you found a game and we've played it and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Because you're the player.
I'm the player.
I'm the guy that gets emailed about the games. But yes, there are games.
I guess like Mansions of Madness and things I enjoyed a lot more than you.
You're a lot more forgiving of dice and randomness in general. As I tend to get annoyed a lot more quickly. Dice. Yeah. That's what
Quarriors. I enjoyed Quarriors and you hated Quarriors.
Yeah, Quarriors.
But that is all dice.
Quarriors I absolutely hated.
But I liked all the dice.
I did feel like as well that Quarriors was also a game that I didn't get to play. It was out on the table and I sat there while people played it. The 3 other people got to play it. I don't feel like I got to play it. I remember that it was just rolling dice and you don't get a turn this turn. But that became Dice Masters, I think.
Probably. It's very similar.
And they've just done WWE Dice Masters.
Well, why haven't we got that? That seems like
I believe
the
it is
best
just fighting against each other. I want like a wrestling management game where you'd be like not Honky Tonk Man. Who am I thinking of? It's one of the Hearts. I can't think. Famous manager. Terrible that I've forgotten. Anyway, next question. What upcoming games are you most excited for? Frosthaven. It's just sequels to things, really. I'm sure there are loads of like I'm interested in. I haven't watched the video, but Shut Up and Sit Down have done like a solo video about print and plays, and I've had a flick through them just because they're coming up in like they're coming up in the hotness on Board Game Geek. So there's a game called Supermarché, which anyone that saw the Supermarket Sweep playthrough, I know I'm keen on just the supermarket theme. It's just a lot of these games were designed for like they have a contest every year on Board Game Geek to design the best solo game that's just a print and play, and so this is make the most profit in a supermarket. The only kind of hurdle is having to print it and cut it all out and stuff. But I really like the sound of that. I looked through Bargain Basement Bathysphere. That's like a push your luck game, or if I can get one of the sheets up on it. We need to work out the technology to get it up on here. But if you click on Board Game Geek and go in the hotness, they're like number 1 and 3 in the hotness. It's like how far you can go down in this bathysphere before you have to move on. It's a legacy game. Is the idea as well that like you don't look at the next sheets. I think this one you wouldn't really have to cut things up in it. It's like a campaign game, so you just turn to the next page when you want a new bit. So like it's been a lot of looking through print and plays at the moment. I think we're looking at... I had a quick look at Village Attacks, because a friend's just had that delivered on Kickstarter. That seems pretty cool. It's like a castle defense kind of game. Obviously Frosthaven, just because... Yeah, even if Frosthaven was exactly Gloomhaven, but with some more scenarios, it would be one of our most anticipated games. But there's new things, and maybe our thing. Unless we design something that's completely awful. But hey, we'll soon find out. Yeah,
just not very good at writing things.
Yeah, I've been looking at digital versions of games as well. But they are old games that we've already played. I'm excited about these have kind of covered before as well, but Kickstarters that I've maybe covered in the past that are now like getting to the final stages, like High Rise by Gil Hover, who does the Networks games and Band Medicine and Wordsy. We did a Kickstarter for that back when it was on Kickstarter, of course, but I really, really loved High Rise. It's like a time track game where the person in last place on the track gets the next action, and you're building up these amazing skyscrapers on the board and getting special abilities from them and stuff. That was fantastic. But yeah, also it's a lot of solo-y stuff right now. But I think that's kind of the mood, isn't it? But apparently, yeah, I shouldn't talk about things without watching the videos. But apparently, they could have been nicer to solo players. So I hear. Everyone should be nice to solo players. Which board game have the two of you played the most together? Not a card game. Well, Fuse isn't a card game, is it? It's a dice and card game.
It's a dice and card game.
It's a real-time game more than anything. But I'd say, in terms of time, it's got to be Gloomhaven, hasn't it?
But that's a card game.
Yeah.
You can't count that.
Yeah, it's got to be just because we played, 50 sessions of our 2-player campaign, and then we paused that and started a new campaign with 2 friends, and we got quite a must have got like 20 odd scenarios through that.
Yeah,
I'd say.
But I'm pretty sure it counts as a card game.
Well, okay, so we've got to think of a game without cards.
It's got a lot of cards in your hand is cards.
A game without cards that we've played a ton. This is going to be one of those
Roll
situations
for the
where
Galaxy.
we always end up turning away from the camera. Roll for Galaxy, we've played a lot.
Loads.
I was going to say Among the Stars, but that's a card game. I don't know, maybe it would have been... Yeah, probably Roll for the Galaxy more than anything I think of. Or maybe
like a little go-to game.
Maybe some kind of co-op. Then we used to play a lot of Suburbia.
Yeah.
Pandemic.
I still think Roll for Galaxy is more.
Pandemic and its expansions.
Yeah.
Probably Roll for the Galaxy though. But I'm sure. What if that's got like a card in it somewhere?
Well, your hand isn't a hand of cards, so I don't think that counts as a card game.
Yeah, I think that's probably.
It's got dice and cards.
Just scanning the shelves. I think that's probably.
Tile laying. It's a bit of everything. It's not a card game.
That's probably a good shout because that's one. Like I was thinking, Project Elite. We played tons, but then we haven't played it for years now. So that wouldn't rank up there.
And probably not as many times as Rough. It's not as many times as you think.
When we get new Project Elite, if we get new Project Elite, we'll have to fix that. Yeah, if we're talking like a game without cards, then I think probably Roll for the Galaxy. The designer of a la carte also dined. Pronunciation, Demacher and Tribune. Isn't that the one that's... I haven't played either of those, but isn't Demacher board game number 1 on Board Game Geek? Yeah, isn't that weird? You see, like, I'm sorry, I'm shaking the laptop. It's like the ID is number 1 because they were just like the database of Board Game Geek was just them filling in their collections at the very, very beginning of it. So that's just the first game that they picked out of there. But it is, yes, 3 to 5 players. That's why I know nothing about it. But maybe we'll have to change that. We'll get into these really heavy, like, I can't think of the example then I was going to.
You can get into heavy games.
We get into 18xx games. Get into that Civilization, is it Advanced Civilization that came out a few years ago where people were having like 18-hour sessions of it and stuff. I can't see. Yeah, I didn't last about 3 hours through Nemo's War, unfortunately. About 2 hours is our cut-off. Favourite solo games? Rich, you never played a solo game, have you?
No. We've played Titanic.
We've played some solo games. Yeah. Well, SOS Titanic's got rules to make it... yeah, we played Coffee Roaster together. Played something else solo together as well. Just because, you know, if you can just make the decisions together and stuff.
It wasn't long ago as well.
No, it was fairly recent for it.
But
a lot of them...
Well, there's no, I can't remember I'm not going to remember what it's called. Where we had to flip... There was some cards. I know that was 2-player. Just ignore me, everybody.
Yeah. Well, a lot of them do end up with rules for like Assembly is a fantastic solo game. I think maybe primarily a solo game. But, yeah, and... yeah, SOS Titanic. Played Nemo's War recently, which is another one that's like... It's a solo game, really, but it's got these extra rules for it. We played This War of Mine together, and that, even though it had multiplayer rules, it was a solo game. It was like, the multiplayer of it was whoever is holding the book has the power, and then pass the book sometimes.
I don't really remember.
But favourite solo games for me, I did a top 10 solo games, so if I don't mention the one that is number 1 there, then that'll be inconsistent. But I love Feast for Odin solo. I think, like, it kind of... I mentioned in that top 10, I think, it kind of coincides with the time that I really played solo tons, because when Feast for Odin came out, I was playing that for weeks, and they had a thing that's still going, I think, on Board Game Geek, of coming up with solo scenarios, particular cards to start with, and ways to play, and that kept making it fresh. The Gallerist, I love the most solo. Just because I think I really love the Gallerist anyway, and it's got kind of a simple rule set where there's just like the Lacerda pawn just rotates around the board over and over and over again, taking actions, and you can kind of predict what he's going to do and use it to your advantage, and it's a really fast way of playing it as well. SOS Titanic is absolutely fantastic, and that is basically that is the game Solitaire with like extra player powers. It's tweaked a little bit. It's not just that, but it's mainly Solitaire. And yeah, Assembly's a great one as well. Well, I was wondering.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, maybe it was. And I don't think it's winning the vote for the next top 10, but I wanted to do another solo one, kind of inspired by. Yeah, everyone's in a kind of solo topic thing with all of the lockdown and everything. So Yeah, maybe I'll do a part 2 to that one day. Is there any game that you two were truly excited about and turned out to be a dud? Loads?
I'm pretty sure there's loads.
Yeah, loads and loads. I don't know about a recent example. Ones that stick out, I remember Dice Forge. But I do kind of get... I get hooked up a little bit on, like, gimmicks and being excited by these new bits of plastic and things. And then when it comes down to it and the game's not so hot, yeah. I've realised that I've probably got too excited for something to begin with, because Dice Forge is only supposed to be a daft laugh, wasn't it? But I just remember it being really annoying and unfair.
I'm pretty sure there's been a recent game we had and we were a bit... I can't remember what it was now, but we were a bit deflated by it.
Yeah, in our rush to positivity.
Yeah.
Like, but a lot of the games we end up covering, and I say that we didn't enjoy them as well, because in the past it would be ones that we'd ended up buying on the side, and okay, we didn't enjoy it, that's going off in the bring and buy for a surprisingly not extortionate price. But now they tend to be ones that get sent, so you hear all of my petty complaints about games. I think by the end of Sorcerer City, I wasn't as annoyed anymore. It's the very first time we played Sorcerer City I got really annoyed at it, but that's because someone was just winning by a ridiculous amount effortlessly. Tony Boydell's here. Hi, Tony.
Hi, Tony.
Have you ever designed a game yourself? Would you like to? I've not designed a game myself. I think
we've come up with some ideas that
we're
going
to
be to somebody else.
Yeah, it's all like, oh, what if somebody made a game about? Like, it's just themes, really, isn't it? Rather than anything that could be considered a game.
I still think somebody should just do one about being a teacher, and I could give them loads of things that could go wrong.
You would think that
would be really good, like little events on cards, and I don't know. You try and be the best teacher in a school full of delinquent children or something.
If you can turn it into a cooperative game with the teachers all working together. Yeah. This is how we surpass Frosthaven.
Yeah.
Oh, massive launching Kickstarter.
And you would like a wrestling, or like you said, imagine wrestling, or like a band or something, hasn't it? Yeah.
But I liked the idea of what were we talking about? I don't know what the main topic was, but we're talking about like, oh, if you had like a Rush game, like what would that even be? A game about a band?
Oh, the band.
But you could do a game about like a band needing to get to their next gig or something, and like I like that idea of like managing bands and trying to get to the top of the charts. I like that as a core concept. And there was it Thrash and Roll? I'm pretty sure it was called Thrash and Roll, where it was all metal band themed, and that was a big part of the game, but it didn't really come across that well. I haven't got any of these or any memory of what they were, but I remember I used to make little board games when I was like pretty young, and kind of like turn boxes inside out and draw like... They were probably quite similar to Monopoly, to be honest. I would imagine. Or they'd be copies of like... They'd be like a mashup of Monopoly and Payday or something like that, I imagine. But I don't remember any of that now. That can't count as game design. But we're going to be... I don't know how much game design's going to be involved. We're going to be designing a scenario for Frosthaven, maybe. Well, we are. We've been announced.
We have to do the story.
Yeah, it's just if it's terrible. And I think it's like, you can just write the story bit, or you could get really involved and design all of that too. Yeah, it's something like, I think maybe one day, if we had ideas, if we had properly kind of solid ideas with maybe mechanics behind them, maybe we could do something. Like, I'm not set against it, but easy. Rach.
I like the cup of tea.
Still going for a nice cup of tea?
Yeah.
Alubari. That's
Alubari,
a nice cup of tea. And that's on... Is it on Tabletopia, the prototype of the special 2-player version, Tony? That's coming. It's coming, if not. We need to get our fingers are all locked into the shortcuts of Tabletop Simulator.
Yours are.
I've got to get them broken out of that and get them used to the Tabletopia way of doing things, because there's a lot on there at the moment. But yeah, definitely. We need to play Luxa Turner, actually. That's a solo game that we could be just teaming up on. That came out for the solo vote as well. Whether it wins the vote or not, we need to do that and escape some black holes together. Have you been playing any digital board games recently? Which ones would you recommend and avoid? We've been playing a lot of digital board games. Well, maybe not Rach.
You more than me. I find it hard not to have
you've
the things in my hand.
I think it's definitely... Well, I don't think
things.
anyone would say it's an ideal way of playing anything. But under the circumstances, it's your only way of playing a lot of things.
Part of the problem is we play games quite late in the night if we're playing the digital board games.
Yeah, and you're not so keen on...
And I'm not a night person.
No.
And if I'm
very
not
much
being
a night person.
active, I struggle. But...
We played... I think we started out with Gloomhaven, the great big kind of scripted Gloomhaven setup that's on there. And we started out with our friend that we played a lot of the campaign with anyway. And then a friend that hadn't played... I think I'd played it just once before, and we got a few scenarios in there, and it's a fantastic way of playing it. I'm kind of if I'm going to be doing some kind of video about Tabletop Simulator and Tabletopia and stuff, and with the Tabletop Simulator side of things, I don't know how you're supposed to judge whether something's there officially or not. I know Tabletopia, it's easy, things are there officially, and there's no grey area about it. But the Gloomhaven one, because there's a Frosthaven one on there, and that is official and sanctioned. But the Gloomhaven one is the entire game, so I don't know how that fits in if Isaac wants it up. I assume he's okay with it being up there, at least during the lockdown period. That's what I think. Even if you don't like your games being on there, while everyone's stuck inside, it's maybe not so bad. But we've played a lot of Gloomhaven, played some of The Game, that is the latest game on the channel at the moment. I've been playing Kingdom Death Monster.
Yeah.
There is another one that I'm pretty sure shouldn't be there. But I 100% would never play Kingdom Death Monster under other circumstances, I don't think. Which is always something I've been curious about, but I'm not really bothered about minis or dice chucking, really. I'm surprised that it's kind of stuck with me and engaged me as much as it has. Along with a ton of frustration on unfairness. But, yeah, we've been playing a load of Kingdom Death Monster.
We played Escape Plan on Tabletopia.
Yeah. We played it on Tabletop Simulator.
Did we?
Yeah, we were going to play it on Tabletopia, but something was going wrong with it.
And we knew the shortcuts for Tabletop.
Yeah, I think that's what it all comes down to, that everybody, we all know how to shuffle a deck and move things around on Tabletop Simulator, and we're always finding, a new shortcut for things, which I'm sure is all applies to Tabletopia. I played Nemo's War live on the Gaming Rules channel. Oh, that wasn't on Tabletop Simulator, though, was it? I was on Tabletop Simulator while Paul had it in real life.
Don't forget we played the Game of Life.
We played the Game of Life.
Don't forget, we played the Game of Life.
Well, actually, we played because we found the rules for it. It was a 1991 American The Game of Life that had these strange things about stocks and buy a stock, and every time somebody rolls that number, you get some money.
But it was something similar to that in that VIP celebrity one we played at Christmas that your brothers got. Yeah,
my brother had a strange. Yeah, like a celebrity game of like a really new thing, like a celebrity Game of Life. I don't remember that being in the Game of Life I used to play, but when I was a kid, I don't think I played a lot of games properly. I tweaked a lot of games to just.
I rolled a 5. Oh, me 5. Oh, now I've got to give somebody else £500. Well, dollars.
Yeah.
I think. I know it was a bit of a mess around playthrough, but I had no money that whole game. I didn't get paid once.
No,
I didn't land on a payday. I just had no money the whole time.
Yeah, it's not quite criticising Monopoly. It's slightly more original criticising the Game of Life, but yeah, that was more. I've played Adrenaline, the CGE game that's like a kind of shoot 'em up game, but like a arena shooter, and that was. Yeah, I didn't really enjoy it because I don't like games where we're fighting against each other. But aside from that, I kind of liked it. I was kind of I was having an out of body experience, stepping outside of it and just thinking of it in terms of numbers and stuff. Because you don't really knock people out of the game when they're killed. It's whoever's done the most damage gets points and things like that. So you can think of it in raw numbers and stuff if you want to be a boring boffin like I was about it. What else digital have we played?
I think that's it.
I thought we tried something else. There are a lot that I want to try and play, but there's always a kind of the other downside is that there's always a learning experience. Not so much that you've got to remember how to play the game and teach the game to people that now aren't in front of you, which is another kind of obstacle to it. but you've got to like kind of make sure with this is an advantage of Tabletopia, I guess, that on Tabletop Simulator you've got to kind of hope that all the links are still working and that it's been programmed properly and the things are going to fit in the grids and all of that stuff. But I do like I know that Tabletopia's got automatic setup, which is cool, but the scripting, maybe we haven't seen it in so many mods on Tabletop Simulator, but the possibilities of scripting, and so that you can just click a button and it will do a load of things for an action rather than you having to drag a load of stuff around. The things that we've seen in kind of Kingdom Death Monster, the Arkham Horror card game that got taken down quite recently, all with some amazing scripting things, some people with a lot of know-how on Tabletop Simulator out there. So we've played a few, not as many as we'd think on there. I'd like to play things like Agents of Smirch, but the book isn't on there, so we'd have to have the physical book. And only we do know someone. We do know someone with a copy, so yeah, maybe we could play something like that. We want to work it out. I think I mentioned that we haven't got the webcams and Elgatos or anything to do proper like live streaming of games, but maybe we'd be able to do something through like the digital versions or Tabletop Simulator or something, hopefully. But then you need a webcam for you, so I don't know how that works out. Maybe I'd have to play it on the laptop so that there's a webcam there. Tony says the 2-player version is on Tabletopia and it's public too, so we've got to get on that. Now we know that that's your favourite as well. I like taking coffins about in the Necropolis line and getting daffodils out. I just like, especially now we've got the master set of Snowdonia, we've got all the lovely chunky wooden pieces. Do you go to many board game cons? If so, which is your favourite? I wouldn't say very many. And they've only ever been in... actually, they haven't all been in England, have they? Essen's not in England. Mainly English ones. So we've been to the UK Games Expo for quite a few years. Until now. Have we been to 4 of them? Or 5 of them? We went to the last year, it was in a hotel. And then every one since we've been to the UK Games Expo. So we've kind of seen...
it evolve.
Yeah, we've seen it evolve, but not as much as people that have been going the whole time it was in the hotel. We've been to GridCon, the very first GridCon. That was fantastic, and you can see probably the best video that I've made so far about GridCon on the channel. That was great. New convention. Paul Griffin of Gaming Rules does that. And what was the one in Leicester called? Manacon. That was another great one of they're smaller cons that are mainly focused on playing the games. They've got to bring them by and a stall of a shop, but mostly you're in a great big thing and it's tables and tables of playing games.
We used to go to the Shire Games one when that was.
Oh yeah, there was the Shire Games, which was our local shop. Used to do a convention called the Caster Dice, and we only got to go to it once. We went to it in 2015, I think, because the 2016 one was when we were on holiday.
Yeah.
And that turned out, sadly, to be the last year of it. But that was a really great one as well. Another one.
And loads of people would come to that from all over as well.
Yeah, people did. And that was kind of... It was a bit easier because we went to the Shire Games game group most weeks. And so we knew people from that. So we could get in games from there. And Nick and Sue, who used to run the shop, had a huge library of games that they brought to the convention as well. Which, like all the other conventions, have had great game libraries. But, yeah, they had a crazy one. What else have we been to? I think is that all of the UK ones? Because I'd really like to go to Aircon, but it's just never worked out. It's, either timing or money has never worked out to go to Aircon. But, yeah, I'd really like to go. Because everybody raves about it that goes to it. And, like you say, it might turn out to be the largest convention in the year before that. But, yeah, it was a kind of... do you want to go when this is brewing kind of thing. But yeah, that may be the last big convention, and maybe it's going to be the first convention kicking things off after the lockdown. There's usually Dragon Con in December, I think. That's a smaller London one. There's the Tabletop magazine have one in Alexandra Palace, is that right? Tabletop Gaming Live, I think that's late in the year. I'm not sure if anything else is happening, but yeah, we've been to those few UK ones, and also been to Essen. I've been... How many times have I been, Rach? 3 times? And once was with you.
Yeah.
Maybe 4 times.
Possibly. You've only been once after I've been, haven't you?
Maybe.
No, twice.
No, I've been twice. So I've been
4
times. 4 times, and Rach got to go once because Essen is very rarely in like our
school holidays.
Yeah, our school holidays. I think it's in Germany, school holidays always.
It would have been in school holidays. No, I don't think it was going to be in school holidays this year.
No, I don't think it was. But yeah, one day it will all line up again because we had a great big road trip down there with our friend who thankfully drove us there.
And then we had a tire blowout on the way home.
Yeah, that's terrifying. I'm in lockdown, says Matthew Tidbury, with 2 non-gamers. Any suggestions for light, shortish games? Well, I would always...
that would be nice to play on Tabletop Simulator.
I thought you were thinking
or to buy.
To play in lockdown with 2 non-gamers.
But to buy, do you mean?
To buy, yeah.
Yeah. Like if you didn't have them, is what I'm saying.
Oh, right. Well, a lot of the roll and writes, like Harvest Dice, Quinto... I don't know. Quicks, definitely.
I think a lot of nice little roll and writes. I think anybody would be happy playing them.
Yeah. Tiny Towns is a good one. You have to think of kind of people that don't play games at all, though. We're not good kind of judges of that, I don't think. I think sometimes, this make a really good gateway game, but then I think, when have you played a game? When's the last time I played a game with someone who doesn't play games at all? So I'm not really a great judge. It's when I play games with my brother, probably, who doesn't play as many board games, into the video gamey side. But the game's absolutely fantastic, and surely anybody can learn the game. It's just a deck of cards. Play them in a couple of piles. Some piles go up, some piles go down. Yeah, those roll and write games. I kind of think Fuse, but then at the same time, real time probably isn't a great thing for new gamers.
No.
Maybe. I think a lot pandemic these days, but I don't know if that's just because of the situation, or is it in bad taste trying to bring that? Surely, yeah.
No, I did notice somebody on my Facebook had started playing Pandemic, actually.
Maybe the Polyomino games as well. So Patchwork only does 2, so that's out. But Patchwork Doodle, I think that would be a fantastic one for non-gamers, where like you draw cards with Tetris shapes and then you're colouring them in on your sheets. So the other Uwe Rosenberg games that we didn't get on with as much, like Cottage Garden, they would probably be good for new ones. Baron Park, though, that's a great one. That's a great kind of early on tile laying game, and it helps that it's really great.
How about the train game?
Train game? Which one? Ticket to Ride?
Yeah.
Yeah, always Ticket to Ride. Classic suggestion of Ticket to Ride. The Toy Story and the Harry Potter deck building games are interesting for new players as well, because I think that's what they're designed to do as well. So if they're into Harry Potter / Toy Story, it's Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle and Toy Story Obstacles and Adventures. It's just hidden behind Little Cousin Scampy there. But they're kind of episodic things, so they start out incredibly basic deck builders.
And it introduces new rules as you go along.
And the idea is, I think, teaching you the thing, so they would be good ones. And then once the kind of basics of deck building have clicked in, you've got a whole world of wonder out there. Dale of Merchants.
Boom, Dominion.
Yeah, Dominion, fantastic, still fantastic. But Dale of Merchants, I think, would... Yeah. There are different... You pick animal types in Dale of Merchants, and they've got different levels of like interaction and randomness, but also complexity. So you could pick the least complex ones to work together as well. I think that's probably the Harry Potter / Toy Story ones to start with, but Dale of Merchants a good jumping off point after that, because Dale of Merchants are not for the channel. Ooh, that's been a while now, I think.
Gloomhaven,
been a few months.
Tabletop Simulator.
Yeah. What about physical real game that we didn't play for the channel?
I'll tell you what it was.
Do you remember?
It was
Bear with us.
the railway one.
Railway one.
Railway Revolution, or did you film that for the channel?
Yeah, that was for the channel.
Okay, I'll take that back. Oh yeah, he told me that afterwards. Yeah. He's like, I want to play this. And he's like, yeah, I'm filming this later.
It was kind of the inclination to play it came before the decision to film it, and I did buy that, so I didn't need to film that. I don't know. It's been there must have been something we pulled out. I'm pretty sure.
Like not
we
necessarily
revisited
just us
something
two,
pretty
but
quickly.
like before all this went down, like we'd go around a friend's house and play Arkham Horror and things like that.
In that case, it probably is Dale of Merchants,
because we played that there.
Yeah, and we played the collection as well. Oh, I did film the collection, didn't I? So yeah, we can't count
Arkham Horror
that.
probably, but that's not just us two.
No, but just with us two. It might have been when we were still playing
Sad times, guys.
It might have been when we were still playing Medora last year. Although I technically had to film Medora, but I didn't have to film the 20 sessions we played after I'd finished making the playthrough.
Could be when our friend came round and we played Castles of Mad King Ludwig. We haven't filmed that. But we did play that, but it's not just us two.
Yeah, we do go back to that. I don't think I've actually still done a video for Castles of Mad King Ludwig. I want to go in the votes one day, maybe. So I played Trans Europa with them. That went down well. I'm thinking of Transatlantic. Which one's Trans Europa? I'm going to board game geek it. I don't think we've played Trans Europa. No, we have not. I remember the box art that I can see on Board Game Geek. I remember seeing that and thinking that it looked clip arty. But I haven't played that one. So that's a good intro. That's a good starter off, is it? Is it like a kind of Ticket to Ride kind of thing? But yeah, I would recommend all of those things we said. Pepe, hi. I'm glad you enjoyed the channel. Thank you for finding them informative. They are mistake-ridden. So should we go to? Should we go to David's other question, which terrifies me. It's far too highbrow, far too thought-provoking. What positive changes do you think will come about from the pandemic in life and in board games? So I think in board games, we had a little chat about it earlier. Thinking in board games, the advantage is going to be maybe more people, throughout the lockdown, more people giving solo games a chance.
And I just think playing games digitally
and playing
accepting
games digitally.
digital versions of games, which might then lead into having more games with app-based sort of parts to them.
Yeah. Because
might be more accepted then,
and having more of those services and things. Because I think the tabletop simulators strange limbo situation legally has gone on more from it just kind of being not really a big deal, and in terms of not that many people doing it, and so with the kind of boost that it's got now, it's got more scrutiny on it. But at the same time, that means that Tabletopia has surely got a surge in users. As well as, Yukata, Board Game Arena, what are the other websites that you play turn-based on? They're the ones that we always played on anyway. But they must have a bit of a surge in users now, just from people that Tabletopia was broken when I tried to play. Pieces were missing. Oh, that's a shame. I think they've got a pretty good... I haven't had to raise any issue with them, but I have seen in the comments and stuff that are on there that I think they're pretty responsive if you let them know. I think they generally, anyway, I'm not sure during this period, maybe they've got less time to do it, but generally they seem pretty responsive at fixing things. But
it's Steam.
Oh, it's Steam.
Steam's bad.
Yeah, it's a bit strange how Tabletopia works as well, isn't it? Because it's a kind of browser game, but you can have it on Steam. And that seems to kind of be using a browser inside a Steam game. But you can also... I haven't played a full game on it yet, but I thought I would have a quick experiment with the iOS version. And I just downloaded it on my phone, which is it's a fairly big phone screen, really. But I was surprised how usable it seemed. I was thinking, why would I want to play this on a tiny screen? Surely that's going to be a nightmare. But actually, zooming in and using gestures, one finger picked things up, two fingers slid around, I think it would work quite well. Especially on an iPad, though. That's probably your ideal screen size for it. So, yeah. People playing solo more. And maybe more that... Not people that already play it, playing it more. But people that maybe wouldn't have considered it before. Maybe being open to a new thing. Same for digital board games. People that just wouldn't have bothered before. Or... it's still not your ideal thing. It's still got problems and quirks and annoyances, but absolutely the best thing that's going right now, because otherwise we wouldn't be playing games.
And digital versions of games, so like the official versions of games. Probably more people will play them, and maybe more of those will come out. Yeah,
and maybe more will come out and be better, better tested, and it'll just work better.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of the big thing, solo and digital gaming, and maybe all the designers. I know that Tony has been busy prototyping like crazy, and it's all coming out on Tabletopia. designers, maybe they're getting like a little surge of time to do stuff in lockdown, and it's gonna come out with a load of fresh ideas, maybe. But that's just speculation. What's gonna change for the positive in life? I don't know.
I mean, I'm kind of like, I don't know. I don't think it'll change ultimately very much. I think things will be weird when we come out of lockdown, and people might be reluctant to go out, but I don't know if things will change that much.
Habits have surely broken.
Change, yeah. For individual people, you can't really say for everybody, but
yeah, I think it's going to be more of a, like, say you went to McDonald's every day or something, and it's been closed for a month, so you haven't been able to do that. That's probably the time to break that habit, isn't it, and stop thinking about it. Is it? Is that long enough? I don't know.
Probably.
It's probably not a serious addiction, is it? I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, it'll probably change habits like that, but I don't really see it being... I think there will be big change and big kind of New Year's resolution style things afterwards, but I think that over time, if things stayed normal for a substantial period, I think that a lot would kind of slip back to it. I don't know what kind of positive... The most positive thing would be that the government starts to respect the NHS and give it the money that it needs, and
definitely
treat NHS workers and teachers.
Yes, I've already started to notice a slight positive change in people's attitudes towards teachers.
Oh no, it's all the video's all stuttering. Have the government cut us off as soon as we started criticising them? That would be amazing, wouldn't it? Especially since they start being actually personally affected by it. But who knows? Money speaks louder than any of that. But hey, let's not get into that. Things are nice, aren't they, on board games and stuff. What player colour do you always try to grab? Red.
Oh, red.
Always red.
I mean, if it's the generic 4 colours, then I'd go for yellow, but I like a purple or a pink.
Yeah. I quite like purple as well, and I quite like kind of baby blue.
Yeah, baby blue. Or an orange, you like.
Yeah.
But red is also.
Yeah, often it's like which colour is closest to red.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I'll branch out from things. Congrats, seeing... I've been mentioned more. I always like being mentioned more. Yeah, I think we've gotten into a good flow of Kickstarters at the moment. And thankfully, they are ones that we want to cover. So, thoughts on Youthia? I've heard of Youthia. You're going to hear my first impressions of it, though, I think, because I haven't seen much of it. I think I've seen people with the prototype more than I have seen too much about the game. It's a competitive strategic board game. Oh, there's hexes. Is it... my first thought is Runebound, but that's just because... It's probably because we played that. We played that fairly recently.
Yeah, with our friend.
With no intention of filming it, and yeah, I don't remember it. I remember it being a lot better than it was when we played it last. It wasn't a great experience.
Yeah, that's one of those things we were looking forward to, and then...
Yeah, that was a
maybe not a new game, but...
No, because it used to be. Yeah, I remember it being...
I find that happens sometimes, though. A game we haven't played for a couple of years.
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes going back to them isn't great. But I think I'm not so big on kind of collecting all the stuff for a game anymore and having to get promos and things. And I wonder if something like Runebound, I might have gotten more excited about all the stuff there was to try and hunt down on eBay than I was about the actual game itself. Youthia. At the beginning of every game, you will choose one of 3 scenarios to play. Each scenario represents an attempt to kill or repel a mighty dragon. I mean, I like the sound of theme. All I need is players fighting a dragon. And you'll get reputation for killing the dragon, and the hero with the highest reputation of the game is the winner. So that kind of sounds like it wasn't just fantasy and hexes. It was the idea that it's a competitive fantasy game where we're all kind of doing a similar thing. And in Runebound in particular, it was whoever killed the big baddie first won the game. So it sounds similar to that. Whoever does the best at exploring and killing stuff. Yeah, I've only got a vague knowledge of it, but I'm all for it. Youthia, give me a call. I think it's already happened though, hasn't it? Has it already gone on there? Rob's Gaming Table's done a full playthrough. I'm scrolling through BGG right now. I'm trying to be light as a feather touch, so I'm not wobbling it too much.
Or frozen again.
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
yeah. So it's not just.
There's another downside. The internet sucks right now.
Yeah, I don't know why the internet's being strange, because it should be all full and brilliant. So that means that, I don't know, will the video on demand be all cut out as well? But so it's coming to Kickstarter on the 5th. So yeah, you've only got 3 days to ask me. But yeah, I don't know very much about it. From what I just looked at, it sounds cool. I would give it a go. But yeah, we've got 2nd edition Runebound and a load of stuff for it. I've never played 3rd edition Runebound. Is the Unbreakable Bonds what makes it cooperative? Because that's what I was waiting for when 3rd edition first came out. But it seems kind of hard to get now. But yeah, the video is kind of stuttering on here. The internet is still kind of full bars and beautiful and fresh, but yeah, YouTube. Maybe the problem is with our stream to YouTube, because our internet seems to be loading things pretty quickly. Let's see. Yeah, OBS is, everything's in the green here. OBS is the program that streams it all. This is where we need one of those technical difficulty screens coming up, because yeah, we're spinning again. Oh dear. Hopefully for the replay, YouTube caught this, and that it's all going to play smoothly. That's what we're going to have to hope.
Maybe it's telling us it's time.
Yeah. So I think experimental return to Q&A has been mostly successful until this last kind of stuttery bit. It's been doing very well. But yeah, Runebound 3rd edition seems really hard to get all of a sudden. Fantasy Flight, get on that. Put your attentions to that instead of shutting things down. But yeah, put that on Tabletop Simulator, Fantasy Flight. You've got a lot of time on your hands. Anyway, I think we are going to stop it there for this first Q&A back. Rach? Yeah?
Sure.
And we'll be back, I don't know, we'll definitely be back in a month. I'm going to make it a monthly thing again.
Are you going to commit to that?
Yeah, I'm going to commit monthly again. And yeah, maybe it will be a little bit sooner to make up for the choppiness of this one. Maybe we'll get together and do a game or something. If we can work out how to, will the laptop run the streaming things well? Because we've only streamed this webcam of us doing stuff. We've never streamed a proper game or something.
No.
I've recorded them in the background, which has worked out well. But it would be nice to do a live one. Maybe we could play against the audience in there. But hey, that's all in the future. For now, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for sitting with us and putting up with choppy videos. And yeah, thank you for supporting me on Patreon and stuff. It's genuinely kept us going all of this time. Nearly a year now. We'll have to do something special for the year of the Patreon.
Oh, there'll
next
be a
month.
new design coming out, I'm guessing.
Now you've got to think of a new Marty.
A new Marty.
But yeah, thank you everyone for watching and joining us, and I hope you'll join us for the next time. Bye everyone.
Bye, stay safe.
The awkward bit when we're supposed to have stopped.